Democrats no longer trying to hide the true purpose of their lawfare jihad against Donald Trump. AOC, take it away.
He's hosting a rally to try to con people and try to fleece them out of every dollar that they have to fund his own legal fees. And by the way, he's doing it in the South Bronx not to make a point, but because he's got court. And the man practically has the legal version of an ankle bracelet around him, and he can't leave the 5 boroughs because he always has to be in court. And so it is truly an embarrassment to him.
There she goes. And the tallest ex-FBI director in history is back. James Comey warning that if Trump wins, the party will be over for the Bureau.
Serious for the Justice Department and the FBI, because Trump is coming for those institutions. He knows their power, and I think he has regrets that he didn't work hard enough to corrupt them last time. So he's coming for them, and that's a danger for all Americans. He's going to put people in positions in those organizations. He didn't have all-stars the last time. He'll have the bottom of the barrel this time, but people who will want to do his will, and that should worry every American.
Ugh. Judge, let's address that first. Trump's a danger to these institutions, coming from Comey.
Yeah, coming from Comey, who took an unverified dossier, lied to a FISA court judge, then lied again and re-upped that document, and then spied upon a presidential candidate and then president, Jim Comey, Cardinal Comey, he wants you to believe he is. And the amazing part is he goes to advise Donald Trump, the new president, that, you know, there is this dossier so he can turn around and leak it to CNN and get it out there publicly. And the most incredible thing is that he is the guy, Jim Comey, who decided that he would take over the position of the Attorney General and as the head of the FBI go out and say, there's not enough evidence to indict Hillary Clinton. Now, why does he say that? That's not his job. That's not his position. He's as corrupt as they come. And I'll do you one more with him. In addition to that, he's the guy who closed the Southern District's investigation of the Clinton Foundation when he was the United States Attorney. How do I know this? I was a DA working with his office when I was the DA.
You know, Harold, I was shocked in the green room when you said to me, and it touched me. You said, if you can see with your own eyes what they're willing to do to our legal system to Trump to win an election, can you imagine what they're doing to the other systems behind our backs to win an election? And I say, hear, hear, Harold.
You have just an impeccable memory for things that I do not say. It's unbelievable. I was curious to hear the Congresswoman say what she said. I don't know if I think you take people at their word that maybe she thinks that the legal issues that the president's dealing with are not more than an ankle bracelet. And if that is the case, I do think you feed some of the things that have been said. I do think this matter in Florida is more serious than the others, but that's beside the point. The popularity that President Trump continues to enjoy, even with these legal issues, should suggest to Democrats that whether you think it's an ankle bracelet or not, that's not how you're going to defeat him. You're going to have to defeat the former president on the issues. And I think, in fairness to Comey, whether you agree with him or not, and I have issues with things that he's done in the past, I do think he raises some issues that I think voters are going to have to weigh. Remember, it was President Trump overseas in front of a foreign press corps and our press corps when asked, who do you believe? Do you believe Mr. Putin when he says he did not do anything to try to interfere with our elections, or do you believe our own domestic law enforcement and intelligence services? And the president didn't side with his own intelligence services. So I think it's a legitimate point. You can disagree with him, Judge, and I don't quarrel with you of that at all. But I think the substance is where this is going to be litigated, not the courtroom.
Jesse, you know, we've been talking about this for a long time. Whenever we were talking about Trump's rise in polls, we would hear, yeah, but the court case, the voters, if they find out he's a felon, so they were always banking on this as a political outcome. She just happened to say it, but we knew it. We were there.
We were there, Greg. You and I were there the whole time.
We were there before we were there.
We even were. We transcended it. So let's just say he has the 3 other cases. He doesn't have this New York case, and he's allowed to travel. He'd be up on Biden even more Because when you're the challenger, you don't have the bully pulpit, you don't have the press outside your door, you can't hold bilaterals with the Kenyan prime minister like Joe Biden is today. You got to hustle for votes. So you have to fly to all the battlegrounds. There's 7 battlegrounds. He'd probably in 6 weeks, how long's the trial been? 5 weeks? He probably would have hit every battleground at least once, maybe twice. And so you're going in, you're galvanizing your own supporters, you're doing local media, you're raising money, you're getting emails, contact lists. So that's now gone. And he doesn't get to do that. It just shows you how restrictive this court case is. Now, Comey, I would like revenge. You know, Trump says we're not going to do revenge. Revenge is going to be winning. I'd like a little revenge. And this is what I think we should do to get back at these. I'm not going to say it. Everyone should be audited. All the bad guys. Because there are Fox News hosts that for all of the 8 years under Barack Obama were audited. So everyone's audited, first of all. Barr complaint against Judge Merchan. Campaign finance charges against Fannie. Remember how she said, oh, she liquidated her campaign, so that's why she had so much cash? Malicious prosecution charges on Tish James and Alvin Bragg, and Hunter Biden FARA violations. And then I don't think it's too much to ask for treason charges against crooked Obama and Biden.
And another, I have a neighbor, Jesse, I have a neighbor whose tree is over my side of the lawn.
Should we go after him too?
Yes, we're going to put him in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to add the 51 national security officials.
Yeah.
No more clearance.
Exactly. You know what's great about this segment? None of us have said she said the quiet part out loud until now.
Yeah,
but
none of us.
I didn't say it.
Yeah, but isn't it just a typical woman to bring up ankle bracelets?
It's a typical woman. I mean, honestly, well, as a typical woman,
Yes.
I want to say that AOC could not get a crowd of 3,500 people cheering her on in the Bronx. And especially they'd be like, wait, where are Amazon jobs? Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
And the other thing is they want him in court because they thought they were going to get this conviction so that they could win an election. That hasn't worked. Trump's poll numbers have gone up during the trial. His fundraising has gone up during the trial, so much so that Biden had to jump the gun and challenge him to a debate to help change the subject in June before the conventions even take place.
Amazing.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.